This is lesson 9.2, mean, from chapter 9. Now you've done this in elementary school and you know that mean is a type of average. Just so you know, there are other types of averages, the other one being the median and the mode, which we will do in the next lesson. All right. To find the mean of a given data, what we have to do is to add up all data values and divide it by the total number of data values. Again, you know this because you've done this before. Remember, and this is a common mistake, 0 in the data is still a number. For example, if they are asking us to find the mean of 4, 9, 3, 0, and 12, then we are going to add up 4 plus 9 plus 3 plus 0 plus 12, because 0 is still a number, and divide it with how many ever numbers there are. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 total, so you're going to divide it with 5. Now let's go ahead and find the mean of some of the numbers. One thing in this lesson is that you are allowed to use calculators. So go ahead and use calculator to do the actual addition, but addition and division later. But I have to see the problem set up. If I don't see the problem set up, like I'm showing you, what I mean by problem setup is that you have to show me this step, what you are adding and what you are dividing with. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is what I mean by setup. I have to see this. Once this is written in, then the rest of the calculation you can do with a calculator. Okay, so you'll notice that if you add up the numerators 7, 5, 9, 6, and 3, then we end up with 30, and 30 divided by 5 is 6. Go ahead and finish number 2. Let's go ahead and do the next problem. And in this case, they've given it to us as tally marks, and it's easier, I feel, if you just write down what the tally marks are. So that's a 4, 5, 1, 3, and 1. Now go ahead and do the mean just like you would for any other problem. So you add up 4 plus 5 plus 1 plus 3 plus 1 and divide by 5. This ends up being 14 over 5. In this case, 2.8. All right, let's move on to the rest. All right, what you have here is called, now we are going to learn about something called outlier. Out, you know what out means. It's something that's, outside a door or outside a room. Outlier. Liar means not the person that's lying, but where does it lie? Where is it? Sort of location. So in outlier in statistics means the data value that is much, much lower or higher, way high or low than the rest of the data value. So for example, if there's a neighborhood with homes around $400,000, but then you have this one house that's more than $1 million, then this house with the $1 million becomes an outlier because it's way too high than the other homes. In the same way, if something is too low than the other values, then it's an outlier. Remember, it doesn't mean that it's the maximum or minimum. Now, outlier may be the maximum or minimum, but it doesn't mean that every maximum or minimum is an outlier. Okay. All right. Now, when included in the data set, the outlier significantly affects the mean. One thing you need to remember is outlier does not affect the median or mode, and we'll learn about that in the next lesson. Let's go for an example. The math scores in a 6th grade class are 84, 78, 92, 45, 88, and 80. Now this score of 45 is way too low, so it is an outlier. So it's an outlier because it is way too lower than the others when included in the data to find the mean, and it'll bring the mean down. That means it'll decrease the mean. It'll pull that down when you find the mean with the outlier. All right, so now let's go ahead and figure out how to find the mean with the outlier and without the outlier. And all it means is that you are finding the mean for the same data. In one case, you're including the outlier, in the other one, not including the outlier. So let's see. In this one, we are going to do 84 plus 78 plus 92 plus 45 plus 88 plus 80. And you're dividing it with 6 values because there are 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 values. And now this ends up being 77.8. Let's take a look at mean without the outlier. In this case, I'm going to omit, that means not include the 45. So I end up with 92 plus 88 plus 80, and I'm going to divide it with 5 because there's only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 values, and this ends up being 84.4. Now, if you notice this 77.8, there really is no number except for this 45, which is about lower than 77.8. Everything else is higher than 77.8. So this doesn't really give an accurate picture of the average of the class, and that's what we mean that it brings the mean down. In this case, it brought the mean down. All right, let's go ahead, do one problem. All right, let's go ahead and do this next problem. Now, they've given you the radii of the 5 best known objects. So they've given you the radius of Jupiter, of Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto, and they're asking us to find which value is an outlier. If you look, Pluto has the smallest. I mean, it's way too low. Everyone else, or all the other planets, look at their radius and look at the radius of Pluto. So we can say that the radius of Pluto (1151 kilometers) is the outlier, and they are asking us to explain. So we can say that is the outlier as it is way too small than the other planets. Okay. All right, now they're asking us to find the mean with and without the outlier and say how the outlier affects the mean. Okay, so let's go ahead and figure that out. So what I want you to do is write this in, go ahead and label it, because otherwise I wouldn't know what you're talking about. So this is mean with outlier, and again I need you to show me this 71,492 plus 60,268 plus 25,559 plus 24,764 plus 1151 written in. You're putting it over 5 because that's the number of values, and then you will also give the total as 183234, and you're dividing it by 6. Your answer ends up being 36,646.8 0.8 kilometers. Okay, so that's your answer. Let me write it here again. 646.8 kilometers. Now this is the radius, 36,646.8 kilometers. Now let's do the mean without the outlier. And you do the same thing. Put in 71,492 plus 60,268 plus 25,559 plus 24,764, and you divide it in this case with 4 because there are only 4 data values. Your total that ends up being is 18,20,83. You're dividing it by 4. Your final answer ends up being 45,520.75 kilometers. Okay, and all this you can do on the calculator. All right, now the next question is describe how the outlier affects the mean. The outlier, you can say, decreases or pulls down or brings down the mean, decreases the mean. That's it. Go ahead and finish the rest, and I will see you next class.